have the Elle Duncan, and that might mean a lot of different things. People know you as the ESPN host that is doing all of ESPN, everything. You killed it at the draft. I want to say the WNBA draft and all of that. You guys absolutely killed it. It was beautiful, amazing. But we have Elle Duncan, the ATL sports fan Elle Duncan too. So that means a lot to us as well sitting here. So Elle, first of all, happy belated birthday. You said you're counting. I wasn't going to say the age, but you said you're counting. So happy, what year was it?
39, baby girl. Come on, 39. Let's 39. Go. Come through. 39 and fine. Like whatever. You know, I love it. I love getting older. It's amazing. It's such a blessing. And I honestly thought, it's not like I'm some elevated person that has evolved. I just think that like it's such a blessing to continue to get older, to see my kids get older, and to grow into myself. Like every year, I feel like I'm getting to know myself better. And so I'm going to enjoy my last year in my 30s, and then I'm going to embrace being 42 and everything that it will have to offer.
40. Hey, listen, 40 is the new 30. Every year it's going backwards. Okay. So
yes.
So how long would you say you've been an Atlanta sports fan? Just how long?
Yeah, my entire life. I'm from Atlanta, well, outside of Atlanta. It's funny because Renee, so you're there, right? You're still in Atlanta. And so when you tell people you're from Atlanta, right? They'll be like, oh, okay. And if they know anything about Atlanta, they'll say, well, like what part, you know? And then I'll say, have you ever heard of Marietta? And they're like, yeah, actually I have. Or they'll say no, and I'll just sort of leave it there. If they have heard of Marietta, I'll then go, okay, awesome. Have you ever heard of Powder Springs? So I just keep going down the rabbit hole of small country towns until you get to the one where I'm from. And so I'm from like the Marietta, Powder Springs area. So the burbs for sure. And we've always been football fans, baseball fans. Like I grew up on the Braves. You know, my childhood was spent collecting as many like Braves ice cream helmet things as you could get, as many pennants as I could get from my wall. Like most of my memories of being young are wrapped up in the superstitions that we had when we watched Braves games every single day on TBS, you know, with my mom.
That.
Yeah.
So that
And it's crazy that they moved
right.
Marietta. I mean, it's still like
it is
area code, but I mean,
they're definitely the Marietta Braves. Like I could not believe when they were moving, and they just kept using the technicality that it is technically Atlanta. I'm like, not real. I mean, it.
Does anybody ever?
Yeah, exactly. Well, and they do, and I get it. It's a suburb of Atlanta. Like I'm from a suburb of Atlanta. My husband is from East Point. He's like, I'm from Atlanta. I'm like, no, you're right. You know, it's a big culture war between inside the perimeter and outside the perimeter.
Oh, we already know.
You know.
Shouts to Armoretta.
See? Oh, yeah, so I'm an OTPer, and so they're very territorial about being from inside the perimeter. But yeah, the Braves moved to my backyard, basically.
Okay, so that's why I wanted to ask you, because you've been a sports fan your whole life because you're born and raised here in the city of Georgia. So what has the progression been like for the Atlanta sports fan? Because now we're coming off of the Braves World Championship. The Bulldogs won. You know, the Hawks went on to a late run last year, this year, back in the playoffs. The Dream got the number 1 pick in the draft, rebuilding. So, like, you can take us through that progression of everyone always talks about that Super Bowl that we know about. But can you just take us through the progression of, like, the Atlanta sports fandom?
Well, it's so funny, Renee. I was just literally telling one of my friends that's also in Atlanta sports, long suffering. I was like, we don't even have an identity anymore because we're champions. Like now my new identity, I used to just be like insufferable and sad and like pessimistic. And now my new identity is to just be irrationally confident. Like I'm just like, oh, we winning. Like, oh, I already know because we champions. Everything we touch, we win. And so this is weird for me because my whole life it's just been like, you know, we had the Braves early on in my life. And I think I took for granted, and a lot of people did, like what it was like to always be really, really, really good because we never were great enough to win a championship, right? We get the one for the Braves and like we were always good, but we never did that. And the Falcons, like, you know, they always had like Mike Vick got them popping, even when they went to the Super Bowl, right? But Mike Vick got the city popping. They were alive. The dome was rocking, but we still like could never get over that hump. You know, the Hawks, like they traded away like the greatest Hawk of all time, right? And even when we were like even when we were going, I worked for the Hawks and I was a sideline reporter for them for about 7-8 seasons. And during that time, we were consistently good. Like we were still, you know, in the Joe Johnson years, the Josh Smith years, Marvin Williams, like all those guys. We were going to the playoffs. It's just that, I don't know, the city just didn't wrap their arms around them. I don't know why, right? Like I don't have some like deep answer as to why. It just feels like now, Renee, and you're there, right? You're an owner, like you get it. It feels like Atlanta's hot. Like it feels like Atlanta's a place that people are choosing to come now, where it was never that way. We had to compete with, it's a small market, fans don't care, no one cares. Like you'll never be the biggest star that you can be in Atlanta. And I just feel like that's changing because of this recognition that like that's where champions are born and made, and they can stay there. And having like names like you invest in Atlanta, to see the moves that you're making to make yourself better, to make this team better, making a splashy move at the draft. God, I loved it. To see like Trae Young, like, you know what I mean? Really embrace the city and want to be like, it's, I don't know. It just feels like a changing of the guard. I love it. I was tired of being miserable.
No, yes.
You're making me feel that Atlanta pride right now. We need to have in like an Atlanta promo or something at the airport.
Yes, like that's what I was trying to get at. So I wasn't, I've been in Atlanta for 15 years. A lot of people don't even know. Like my second year in the league, I bought a house here. So I've been in Atlanta for a while, but you've been here your whole life. So I was really curious, like, how do people that's been through the good, the bad, and the ugly feel? And you kind of hit it right on the head in a sense of like, there's a new wave, like even at State Farm. Like, I don't know what it was like during your era. That's what I was saying when you were doing sideline, but it's curious to see because the fans are like all in now. There's a different feel. Like there is that maybe irrational confidence. We don't even have our front line and we're playing against the number one team, Miami Heat. And we're all still like, let's go. Fight. Believe Atlanta. And we're like, we know we don't have Clint. John is basically not. It's like, what do we do? Because we know we have the ability to win championships because the Braves. So I'm glad that you kind of summed that all up because I was really curious about that.
Yeah, it is. It feels, it's fun, right? Like it's fun to have listen, the truth is whenever people talk about Atlanta sports fandom or what that looks like or this, that, and the other, I always say the thing with Atlanta is it's not even that they're fair weather fans. It's that it's a transplant city. So a lot of people are not from here and there's a lot to do, right? Yeah. And so you're going to pick and choose your battles when it comes to that traffic, right? And so there's so much to do that the Hawks specifically always needed to be really entertaining. And I give them credit. Like even when I was there the year after they won 12 games, like, so it was as bad as it got, right? But like even then there was always just an eye for entertainment. There was always just a reason to pull them in the building. The Dream, when I remember when the Dream launched and like, it was always about entertaining fans. It was a place that you could come. And I think that now you get the entertainment and the product is great. And so it's really the best of both worlds now,
I love that. And so this is, I talked a little bit about, you covered the WNBA draft and I absolutely loved it. It was fresh. It was new. We don't usually get that much coverage. So what was that process like in a sense of, I know with ESPN, you guys do a lot, like you cover a lot and you do a lot, but ESPN carved out some time to give to the WNBA. So can you just talk about the draft and covering it and everything that was going on there?
Yeah. So I did the women's tournament and then right after most of our crew ended up doing the WNBA draft. I think that honestly, so what I loved Dawn Staley, when she joined us on the desk after they won the Natty. And what I loved what she said was that thanks ESPN for your coverage. And you definitely give us more than other people don't, but still we need more, right? We need competition. We need people fighting for these rights to own women's basketball. We need that because that's what elevates everybody, how much spending they bring in, how much advertising they bring in, how many sales, all of those are important ingredients. And I love that she said that because I think you're right. I think that ESPN, they're no dummies. They want to be involved in a part of things that are important. And this is not it's not rocket science, right? If you build it, they will come. If you give these women a platform, people are going to show up. If you tell them why these storylines are compelling the same way we do. Listen, Renee, half the year when we don't have a lot going on, our whole job is to just spin, shit into sugar. And we somehow get so creative with how to spin a Wednesday night baseball game in May, which does not matter at all, basically, to the schedule. But we find a way to make those things compelling when it comes to men. But it feels like so many people in sports, when it comes to women, it's like, they don't know what to do. Do the same thing that you do on the men's side. Like, dig deeper, find those storylines, give people a reason to watch, because the product will speak for itself once they come. It's just about getting them in the door. And I think that ESPN has just continued to see that, and they're giving them a platform. They're giving them. It was so funny when we were doing the post show after the national championship. At some point, Rebecca Lobo looks at me and goes, "Are we still on ESPN1 right now?" I was like, "Yes, we are."
That's big. That's a legitimate
right? She was
question.
like, "Damn!" Like, wow. I was like, "I know." I mean, they really wrapped their arms around it this year, and you know what? The results were there. The numbers were huge. The viewership was there, and now it'll continue to grow, and more fans will come in, and we'll have more hours on the main networks, and like that's how it works.
And I'm glad you brought up a point of the main network.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're a big part of that too.
Definitely.
I'm saying you're a big part of that, because the way that you cover women's sports, I mean, it makes us want to watch it. So, so we thank you for all your coverage.
Yeah, for real. No, it matters that an Elle Duncan wants to do the draft or wants to cover the women's tournament, because you do have that name. You do have that following. Definitely. And that also makes me think about how, honestly, with journalism, how social media has changed how journalism is done. So we talk about this a lot, because it's all about, a lot of times now it's about getting out the story first and different things. So just from your perspective, you've been in the game a long time. How has journalism almost shifted or changed now that social media is at the forefront?
Yeah, well, the problem is that the lines have been completely blurred. We have got to stop painting journalism with some big broad brush, right? Like, it is not, right? Journalists are people who went to journalism school, and like they're really guided by the principles of journalism, right? And there are very specific rules to journalism. I was a mass comm major. I specialized in journalism. I would not call myself a journalist. That is not what I do. I'm an entertainer. You have to understand the difference between analyst, entertainer, journalist, reporter. They are different. They are different. Now, all of them can lean to the principles of journalism, right? And there are certainly things that I do in my approach, and like how I do SportsCenter or how I do women's coverage, or really how I do anything. And I am guided by certain principles, but mostly like I am there to editorialize, and a true journalist would never do that. And so you've got to stop saying like journalism is dead, and you've just got to remember that you're not looking for it in the right places anymore. Like, there are places that you go and you find that and you get that, right? But you can't expect that a place that starts with the E in entertainment is not going to have a beautiful mix of both. And the problem is that at a place like ESPN, there are so many different kinds of people here that we sort of all get painted with the same broad stroke. And people will use those things to dog whistle and criticize as if journalism is somehow, suffering. And the truth is that people have to stop grifting as journalists and just say who and what they are. Like, I'm an entertainer, right? That's just it. I am here to entertain. I don't consider myself an expert at anything. I'm just here to entertain you, and hopefully I can do that. And if not, I'm entertaining myself. But that's different than some of the people that I work with, like a Jeremy Schaap, who is a true journalist and who would never stand up here and editorialize. That's why he's not on Around the Horn. Like, do you get what I'm saying?
Yes. I think that's actually I think you're bringing up something that people don't really know the difference. Okay, so you're an entertainer, and you add, and when you say editorial, can you explain what that would mean to somebody that doesn't know what you're saying?
Right. So anytime you editorialize is when you are giving your opinion, right? One of the main principles of journalism is that you are completely subjective, that you don't, like, you have no opinion on anything, right? You present the story, both sides of the story, and you let the people at home make the decision on what, but when you are a personality, when you are paid to be a personality, when you're doing those things, right? When you're Stephen A. Smith, people are paying for your conjecture, for your humor, for your opinion. It's literally the point, the point is to listen to what you think. And so it's very different than writing something for, the Wall Street Journal or the New York Times as a journalist. It's very different how you cover stories, how you approach stories. Those things we can all live in the same ecosystem and not have the same job, and also not be judged the same way.
No, that is really good to hear, because I think that, like, in this the social media era where you have people DMing athletes saying they're journalists, or people talking, breaking stories, reporters after the games asking questions, that now people can build a whole like media group right now and say they're a media group, and then maybe get a credential and ask. So I think that a lot of times what's going on in the media with athletes is athletes feel like there's a lot of people coming at them at one time. It could be an entertainer, it could be a reporter, it could be just somebody from social media. And then what starts to happen is what you see with athletes that don't want to answer any more questions because you have certain people that have asked them questions that maybe a journalist wouldn't have asked, but it's just a person from social media. So now it's starting to mess up because now it's saying, well, what's going to happen to the entertainment industry or journalism if the athletes are only going to respond on their own platform? So what are your thoughts about like how now athletes are almost taking all the stories to their own platforms?
Yeah, it's very difficult because you're right. Like it's sort of the duality of the relationship, the symbiosis of the relationship between the athlete and the media is that we both lean on each other, right? We do in various ways. And while, neither one of us love dealing with each other all the time, neither one of us want to be beholden to the other one either. But that is the reality of it, right? That like, I need something to write about and I need you to do your thing. So I am lucky in that I'm in a position where, again, my job is not tied up at all with my relationships with athletes. There's so much finessing and massaging of that relationship between a reporter and an athlete so that they can get those incredible stories. Like I see reporters that do it so well and the insight that they get because of the trust that they built, like those things are important and they're longstanding, but like, I don't do that. I am I'm just speaking my mind about what you do. And I don't need any deeper information. I understand why the athlete wants to feel more empowered and emboldened now to tell their story in the way that they want to tell it. I would say that I think that there is room for that, but there will always be space for someone else to be completely objective. And I think that that's going to be important as well. Earlier when I said that my job as a journalist is to be subjective, I meant objective, obviously.
Okay, got it.
Right. Like, I should have no opinion is what I mean. And I think that's important because no matter what, like if you see Kevin Durant talking about Kevin Durant's legacy on KevinDurant.com, like you're going to be like, right? Like, and so it is important that you have, I just think that we've got to understand that everyone's just here to do a job and maybe care a little bit less about what people think. Does it really matter to you what the beat writer from blah, 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 blah.com thinks about your game? Does that really inform how you play? Is it that significant? And I am of the yoke that if it means that he can write about me and I'm in a position to be so blessed that he's writing about me and that helps pay for his kids' college, then like, does it, there's a line between being cruel, but I also think that like there is a space for all of us to do it, to get our story out there, but also work together. There has to be.
No, I agree. I definitely agree. And so it's interesting because it's just this whole nuance of world that we're living in. So I always I talk to Jamel about the exact same thing because everyone is having to figure out how to re-navigate the world we're living in. Now, we're talking about social media. I love how you use social media, okay? I saw one time your flight was delayed. You were coming from Disney. You had the kids with you. I followed the whole saga. I mean, I went through the whole thread. I'm curious, like, with in jobs like ours where we're all in the forefront, how are you with information you want to give social media and information that you're like, no, this is my world and I'm going to keep this part to me?
I struggle with that so much, Renee, because I really I hear people when they're like, it's about building a brand and and all of that gives me the heebie-jeebies anyway. I legitimately like all of it is just too much. I'm a classic overthinker and it's sort of like a neuroses when I think about the things I should be doing and I'm not doing. At the end of the day, my husband always says something. He said something to me when we first started dating and it sticks to me. It stuck to my ribs. You know how people just say something and sometimes you're like,
yes.
And we were somewhere and it was beautiful and I pulled out my phone to take like a picture or a video that I was going to do nothing with. And he was like, he just lowers my phone and he's like, fire some things for the neurons too. And I was like, yeah, man, like we're so busy watching everything like this. And sometimes I just want to be there. I want to be in the moment and I'll look up and I've had this amazing time with my kids that's probably Insta worthy and I haven't taken a single picture, but I fired some for the neurons that day. And I just think that, we feel again, if social media feels like just another responsibility that day for me, then I just don't do it. I'm at this place in my life where I try to do things that serve my family, that serve my mental health, that serve my peace. And if it feels like it's going to be too labor intensive to come up with an awesome TikTok dance that day, I'm just not going to do it. And I might not do it for 2 more weeks. And then if I do come up with one, cool. I might forget to post it. Like I'm just kind of that way. And I just listen to the day and I listen to my kids And I just try to be, I try to be there, man. I want to be present. I can't always be there with my kids. So when I'm not there, I am there, and that's kind of how I'm guided. My guiding principle is always, do you have 5 minutes to post something? Because if you don't do it. Don't worry about it. Who cares? Who cares?
I love that.
Yes, I love
really
it.
love that.
Yes.
Exactly.
Love that. So
because
prioritizing is
you are
key.
speaking my whole life right now. It'll be like, I'll have been in some really dope situations and I'll be like, man, that was so dope. And then I forgot that I didn't get a photo, and then I'm like, crap, or I didn't get a video, or if I do go to an event and I do get those videos, I forgot to post them. Then it's a week later, and I'm like, oh, should I even post it now? It's like it's old now, and so that's why I'm like, I know that you're busy. I want to call you a new mom, but can I still call you like a
sure? Okay, I mean, listen, I'm 39, and my mom is still like, you're my baby, and I'm still a new mom. Like we're learning every day. I've got a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old, so yes, like I'm
you
still
got a 4 and a 1-year-old.
Yes.
So, and I always wonder, because I turn on TV and I see, and with a lot of you guys, like I see you guys on TV all the time. What is that balance life like? Like in a sense of, you have to be on TV, you have to be super mom in the background, but like, what is that like to balance?
Listen, I was just having this conversation with a friend literally yesterday, and I said these exact words. I'm so glad that it was kismet. It was meant to be that you asked me this. I said, people always ask me like, how do you make it work? And I can tell you right now, and the reason that a lot of the work I'm trying to do right now is to help mothers who are not nearly as privileged as me, is that I am privileged. It takes a mother-ing entire group of people to make this ship go. Like I am blessed enough to have a nanny who, I can lean on, who loves my kids like they're hers, who is incredible, who is there for me, who understands boundaries still and does everything she can to support me as a mom, knowing the mom guilt and the balance that I'm trying. And most importantly, I've got 2 parents that retired at exactly the right time and moved to Connecticut and live 14 minutes up the street and can help me. And most importantly, I have the best partner. Like I say this all the time to my girls. I'm like, I don't give a damn if you're 39 or 40 and you're thinking about, oh my God, like, I don't know if I'm going to have kids, like, I like settling and being okay with settling. I'm like, you have to understand that your life is so impacted by the partner that you choose. And I have the most amazing husband in the world who has zero ego, who is always there to fill every hole. Like this man, wherever there's a hole, he's plugging it. He is always there. He serves the role as mom, dad, best friend, boo-boo whisperer. Like he can do everything, and he does it with the best attitude, because there are people, especially men, right, who will claim to want to be there and be a really active parent, but then they punish you somehow. There's reservations still for you living your dream. And if my husband did not jump in all the way with me and say, let's do this thing, and I will always be here to make sure that this thing goes. If it wasn't for him, I would not be able to do any of this. And so he's amazing. And it's like Black love is so real, and it's so real, and it's so special when you find it. So I just implore anyone listening, like, please wait. I know it's easy for me with my 2 kids and my great husband to be like, don't settle. I was there too. I was there crying in the car.
Working
like
professional, they say it's hard for working professionals to find love, especially women and Black women.
Yes, it's so hard.
And you said, right, and you. Yes, and you mentioned mom guilt. I tell Renee about this all the time. That's a very real thing. So I guess, how do you, you kind of give the answer already, but like, how do you manage that mom guilt? Because I can just imagine working long hours on set. I definitely, I can definitely identify with that kind of, mom
I cry a lot.
So how do you?
No, look, I do. Like I honestly, I just try to. The thing I've always tried to work really, really hard at is perspective. And so I really try so hard to give myself some grace and cut myself some slack and say that it is egotistical and selfish to think that I can give my kids everything that they need and that I should. It is okay that I can lean on other people. They didn't say it takes a village. Nobody just created that because it doesn't. It does take a village, and it's okay. It's okay that I can't always be there. I hope that what I'm teaching my kids is that in pursuit of your dreams, you have to sacrifice and you have to make sacrifices. And my sacrifice is I don't always get to be there all the time when I want to be. And I don't always get to have bedtime snuggles. And I don't always get to be there in the morning to take her to school. But when I am there, right? And I am pursuing my dream. I am trying to teach her balance, that you can be a mom and something else and something else and something else. And that's all I'm trying to show both of my kids. And so honestly, I just talk myself off the ledge. And again, I have a great partner who always gives me grace and always reminds me of like what I'm, balancing and how well I'm serving my family, even when I'm not with my family. And I just try to remember that.
I love that. Yeah.
Love that. Roy has entered the chat.
Right, you gonna get
trouble.
You gonna get a lot of people in trouble by that answer,
trouble.
Elle, but I want to just tap on something because you said it was interesting because you said, I know it sounds easy because I found my baby, but you hear this a lot of struggles when working women, high professional working women, struggle with finding love because of that balance. So that's awesome that you found yours, because that is a real thing that people talk about often. Like where did you find him? Like, you know what I mean? Like that's where is he? Where is he?
Yeah. Well, I went down to the hot man store and I bought I listen, it was weird and it was kismet how I found him, but it's the truth. My biggest thing was, you ladies know this, male fragility is a real issue. And especially when it comes to my job, they assume that I'm just waiting my time until some, $300 million NBA player scoops me up. I'm like, come on, that's not at all why most of us get into this. Right. And I always had men that first date, I would say, please don't make me hate my job. Like that is my only deal breaker. I can deal with almost anything else, but don't make me hate my job. I've worked too hard for it. I have too many ambitions, and like I need someone who is going to ride along with me on this and support me. And they would always make me hate my job. I remember my ex before the one. I got a job at to be the in arena person at NBA All-Star in Houston. And it was like an honor because they chose one person every year to do it, depending on where that, Renee. And so I got chosen, and I was like, yes, like I got to meet Beyonce, I got to meet Drake. It was amazing. I'm 25, like I'm so excited.
Oh wow.
And they're going to pay me, at the time, was the biggest bag I'd ever made for working like 2 days, right? And it wasn't anything major, but at the time it was huge. And I tell my boyfriend this, and he literally goes, "Oh, I didn't know you were one of those." I was like, "One of what?" He was like, "Those girls that like to just hang at NBA All-Star." I was like, "So I'm just hanging at NBA All-Star now?"
Sir.
You know what I mean? And the whole time I was there, it was like a complicated, I'm having a great time, but I'm getting punished for this. And I knew right then, I was like, this isn't going to work. You can't make me hate my job. And so ladies, you can find someone who will support you. They can check you. Don't get it twisted. It's not like I just get away with murder. There are times when my husband looks at me and is like, are you doing that job to serve your ego? Or would you be better served serving your family with that 3 hours next Thursday? And I'm like, you're right, And so she can find someone, right? A partner that will make sure that knows you and will help guide you in many ways to being the person that you want to be. But do not look for someone that wants to change you, because there is someone that will find everything about you, exactly the challenge and the crazy that they're looking for.
Yep.
Wow, I love that. So I have just one more question, because we're talking about love and family. And so you have a project that's involving love letters. So can you just tell me about that? Why you wanted to do it? What is it?
Yeah, girl, I'm gonna tap my girl Renee Montgomery.
I'm in there.
Go in, tap in. So Disney Publishing through Anscape, which is formerly The Undefeated, we're doing a book called Love Letters to Black Women. It was born of a special that aired on The Undefeated a couple of years ago. That was a TV special, and I wrote a letter for my daughter Eva at the time. They asked me to participate, and I wrote a letter to her, and it sort of sparked this idea of potentially doing a collection of letters from Black women, from white men, from Black men to other Black women. Honestly, just to amplify them. We all know why. Like, we all know why Black women need more amplification, why Black women need to be publicly celebrated and adorned and loved and celebrated. And I keep saying celebrated because we are the backbones of not only our families, but of this country. We get the least amount of respect. We continually get stepped over, passed on. You know that. Look at the WNBA, Renee. I mean, you guys are true agents of change. And so many other people will get credit, but you all have been in the fight. This was so much more than George Floyd for the ladies of the WNBA. And so that's just like the smallest and most like recent example of Black women consistently. And why is that, right? Because of the league and its makeup. And I just feel like anytime we can talk about sisters and celebrate them and talk about our relationships, complicated and not, because this isn't just going to be a collection of like glowing testimonies. Like some of these are real, frank, honest conversations. And so we're gathering those and collecting them now. And hopefully we'll have them available very soon for you all to buy and gift to the Black woman in your life who you think needs celebrating and honoring.
I love it. I'm already saying right now, everybody, we snap for co-star doing the snap. We snap for that. Listen, that's going to be, if y'all are looking for Christmas gifts, I don't know when it's coming out, but whenever it comes out, look, Valentine's Day, any holiday, this is a dope gifting just for anybody in your life. And Elle, now I saw you when the Braves won. I knew you grew up on the Braves, but when they won, you threw a literal concert. There was a band around you. You were singing. So I don't know if we're going to get graced with some Elle singing. We have another singer in the platform right now with Serena. So I don't know. Yeah. Yes. I don't know if is there any song that's talking to you right now that you would just want to start singing and just singing your heart? I mean, you're in love. Is there a love song right now? You just talked about your man and how it's a submission competition. He submits to you. You submit to him.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Is there anything you got for us before you go?
Oh, you know what? Okay, I'll sing the song that I love singing to my husband in the kitchen all the time. In fact, I asked, thinking it would be so romantic. We're dancing in the kitchen and the song's playing. And I was like, wouldn't this be great if this could be our wedding song? Like we could dance to this at our wedding. We're engaged. And he just stops and he goes, no. I was like, and then just grabbed my hand back and kept dancing. I was like, cool story. He's like, I just don't think of it as a wedding song. I was like, all right then. But I do love it. So, okay, hold on. Because this is very ambitious of me because it's Stevie Wonder.
Oh, yes. Get ready, Serena.
Uh-oh. Yeah, Serena, jump in on this with me if you know. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
If I know it, I will.
Love. May I have a word with you? I'd like to tell you, just what I've been going through. When you are near me, I go through a change or two. Hearing your footsteps. God, I'm forgetting that. Hey, love. You're my one true soul desire. Hey, love, can't you feel this burning fire? Okay, I'm done.
Hey, yes.
Oh, wow.
I'd love to see it.
Wow.
Dude.
You have
When you
a
start singing, I was like,
beautiful voice.
This ain't no karaoke, baby.
I know. I'm like, let me run.
No, I'm a good acapella singer.
Like, do you have some music?
it sounded amazing.
Thank
Amazing.
you.
Oh, I'm shocked. That is Elle Duncan, you guys.
I love you, girls.
As the entertainer.
Wow.
Ooh,
Serena,
yes, Serena,
Now, we're gonna do a
Truly
Christmas song.
the entertainer, because that was
serious.
amazing.
I would love
we
to
gotta
do a
do
Christmas
something.
album. Call me, sis. Let's go.
Oh my
I'm
gosh,
serious.
Elle Duncan
Yes.
again. Thank you, the entertainer, and now that has so many layers. The host, the analyst, the
Wow.
singer, the
Chills.
ATL sports
Chills.
fan that goes hard. All of that. Elle, thank you for joining us here on MoCo. That was lit.
Love you guys. Thank you so much for having me. And I can't wait to come
That
back.
was
And I can't wait to see you in the ATL, Renee. You know I'm coming to a dream game. You know I'm kind
Let's go. Let me know. Hit my line.
Yes, I got you,
Hit my
boo.
line. Let's
Got
go.
you.